Good morning, Franz. How you doing? Fantasy was first today. Necromancer, thank you for the early hydrate. Necromancer was uh, second. Fantasy was also an early arrival. Fantasy has stolen Necromancer's sofa. Now working on my D&D campaign when I should work on my book. You should work on your book. Today is book day. We're working on books. I'm also working on my book. And apparently doing magical experiments with potions. Oh, and the pants are almost done. I need to put in a drawstring channel in the calves, where the calf meets the knee part, just below the knee, and I need to do the hem on the ankles, and then find a drawstring for the drawstring channels and the waistband channel. I'm still debating on whether to put an elastic in the waistband. I probably should, but I'll see if I have time for that. Once I get the whole garb finished, I'm gonna have to order some dye directly, some dye fixative directly from Rit Dye, because I can't find it anywhere else. I also need the teal dye to dye my blue fabric a little bit more to the teal side. Question, any idea of what Solix can give to show someone his friend? Someone is his friend. No. I don't know anything about Solix, really. I mean, you use oak leaves as a theme, so maybe you could I don't know, use an enchanted oak leaf, so like get some fake foliage oak leaves and paint them up a little bit with like a sparkle paint or like a gold paint or something, an iridescent paint. I'm working on the prison where Necromancer ends up, and the staff is kind of scary. Okay. I hope the leaf noises aren't too loud. I have the leaf noises turned all the way up. Let's turn that down just a little. I think we're going to turn our ocean waves down a little bit. The music seems like it's a bit loud too. I was thinking embroidered oak leaves or something, but that might be a bit much. It depends on how many you're giving out. My thing that Nameless gives out to people as a token of friendship is a plastic shelf from the dollar store. So, but they're cheap, they're light, and I could get a whole lot of them for very little. And I didn't have to make them all individually. What does the flame on the book mean? What flame? What book? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Top left game. Oh. Level. There are no new spirits, Fantasy. We've gotten them all. I thought you might have been talking about the books on the table, but there are no flames. There's a handprint on one of them, and it's like a moon and some herbs. Yeah, I wish there were more spirits, but they do have to 3D model each one and then add actions for them. They have to write stories for them. I'm sure there will be a whole new set in the Enchanted Library that's coming out. If you didn't know, there's an Enchanted Library coming. Thought you might like that one. So the DLC announcement was made on the 13th of July. Let's see. The last one that came out was the Enchanted Garden, and it was announced on the 6th of February and came out on the 23rd of March. So I'm guessing this one will be in September or October. A book spirit would be super cute. I unfortunately can't show you the video for it, but maybe I can link it in the Gaming Chatter Discord channel later. But yeah, I thought, again, as usual, we're gonna do the 4 co-working sessions, and then I'm gonna end stream so that I can work on my garb, because I have lots to do. I think I'm definitely gonna add the elastic to the waistband. Ah! Neff coming in with the hydrate, the stretch, and the med reminder. Thank you, Neff. Stretch is good. Take the medicine. Wow. Did any of you guys get to listen to the reading the other day? I don't know if anyone had any feedback. You missed yesterday. Necromancer. Not good. That is not good. When we end stream, I'm going to game at the library. Someone deleted a game I'd been working on there for 1 year, which pissed me off. Well, Fantasy, you can't leave stuff on the library computers. It's a public computer. You can't leave stuff on there. You should probably, save that to like a USB key or something and bring it back with you. Bring it home. Work on it at home. You got a computer at home, yeah? There are specific gaming laptops which you can download games on. Well, yeah, but they get wiped every once in a while. Probably once a year. Bruh. Did you not know that? They have to clear them out. They probably do a fresh install of the operating system. Yeah, Necromancer, just take care of yourself, okay? Neff is streaking! 185 stream streak. Neff, thank you so much for sharing your time with us here. Each and every single day. Jesus. 185? Good morning, Ross. Time is a limited resource. You choose to share it here with us. Sorry, I was distracted by the potion turning green. Also gonna take meds? Good. I blame the skeletons. Necromancer must have been very distracted yesterday. He didn't really say much, so maybe he just got busy and forgot. Stop apologizing! We just want you to be okay. We care about you. You got Johnny! As Sai's boyfriend.
Necromancer Dark is hosting 5 guests.
Hosting 5 guests. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Welcome to Yariel Bot and Journey, our prismatic Pigu friend, Ashley Darkwell, Ozzy Wolf Gaming 1899. Yeah, and you're old. And the Sundrake. Welcome to the islands. Welcome to Necrocon, the convention that keeps going, even if you're dead. If you pass, you become staff. Stop apologizing! Illegal! No more apologies. Just make sure you take your meds today and take care of yourself. Say distracted by the potion turning green tells us you didn't get your ADHD med with us. At least you didn't get your ADHD med. I haven't had my ADHD meds in months. I'm losing my fucking minds. I don't know why I pluralized that. I think that was a... Necromancer, stop it! Horthman.
Necromancer Dark ninja is hosting 5 guests.
You got Kilbreth, our bunny friend, and Classy, and the odd Firefox, as opposed to the normal Firefox. Necromancer, thank you for another 5 gifted subs. Stop it. You got 3 friends that I know very well already. That's enough. Horthman, the Doodle Ninja, Gilrith, the Odd Firefox, and Classy Hats. Welcome back to Necrocon, or welcome to Necrocon, the convention that keeps going even if you're dead. If you pass, you become staff. I have a metal alarm reminder on my phone at 10:30 a.m. Maybe set one for your lunchtime just to double check your pillbox, just in case. That's actually a really good idea, Neff. It's a good idea. Yes, Necromancer, you're forgiven. You're forgiven. It's fine. But that's why we have Neff. Neff is our reminder. Snacks. I could use a snack. What am I talking about? I've got lots of snacks right here. You're all snacks. My house is being sold, and then I'll have to move. I might not be here to always remind everyone to take their meds. Oh, no. Oh, that's right. You might lose your streak. No, no. No. I don't want to. I wish you didn't have to move. His sister wants to be closer to her job. Yeah, I'm the floor grate. I'm also apparently a maze. I'll accept magical. Compliments are illegal. Away with thee. Oh, the land for LARP Town is now gone. It finally sold. They managed to whittle it down to 320,000 before somebody bought it. I still wouldn't have purchased it for that much. Goes to compliment Yale. You've been doing upgrades while I wasn't looking, haven't you? God damn it. Made it too comfortable. Gotta put it inside the volcano. We'll find another plot of land. We'll probably find another plot of land that'll be closer to, you know, population centers. And I want to try and find something that's, you know, not going to flood when the oceans inevitably rise. So, who wants me to read the first part of chapter 1 again? Since Ross was the only one here the other day that heard it, that I know of. They said there's a lot of permalarps in southern Ontario already. Yeah. They're not big larps, but you know, you can buy a bit of land somewhere and then, you know, talk to the owners of the land around you if you want to expand too, and see if you can buy them out. That's always a thing. I've collected all the level 2 emotes. That's so sad. Hype train complete. No emote for me. Necromancer, thank you so much for the gifted subs. Choo choo! That's so adorable. I like how that when you click on the hype train emotes, they tell you who the artist is. Yeah, my one of the people in my brother's WoW guild, she's like really into LARP, and so she knows a lot of the ones in southern Ontario. So I might ask her to introduce me to some and see if I can like go with them. Maybe I can get you to come along too. Maybe I can get Cheese involved. He needs to get out of the house. Alright, well, since no one seems to be interested in the reading, I'm just gonna hop into working now. Oh, it's cold today and I love it. Let's do a weather check before we get into work. It is 16 degrees. Feels like 15. Today is cooler than usual. Yes, I would imagine that this is below the historical average. I've never felt a day this cold in July. The high today looks like it's going to be 16. 19. 19 feels like 21. Whoa. And then Friday, it goes way up. 27. And that's without the humidex. The end of July is looking real hot. I can only hope that this cold streak makes its way across the ocean over into Europe. Thought we were just gonna do the reading. Oh no, I wanted people to know whether people actually wanted it or not. Because I read it the other day, but I've made edits since then. And I'm a lot less nervous reading now than I was. You're here, just not very talkative? That's okay, Ross. You don't have to be talkative. Just being here is enough, and if it helps you get work done, then that's all that matters. You don't have to be talkative every day. We're chill here. But okay, we shall do the reading. I'll bring it up on screen so that people can read along just in case. Where's Obsidian? There we go. It'll be very small, I'm sorry. What's up? Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. Hello? Like that? Yes, that's probably a little bit too big. Ah! Is this good enough? Good enough. Alright, we'll lock that so I don't accidentally click on it and drag it around. Okay. Oh, there's the anxiety already. I know the music doesn't really do much for this, but anyways. So, this is now after editing from what was recommended after Monday when I read it to my family and Pineapple, who was one of the people I used to do the Thursday night craft night with. We haven't been able to do it for a little while. So, but she was over and I read it from my phone. Okay. Alright. So, The Witch Hunter Society, Chapter 1, Scene 1. Another life. Lost. He sucked in a sharp breath between his teeth, the cold autumn air dulling the taste of guilt on his tongue. It wasn't his fault exactly, but it wasn't necessarily how everyone else saw it. Running his hand down his face as if to wipe away the exhaustion, the tired man paused to rub the 5 o'clock shadow and stubble ghosting his chin. As heavy droplets of rain thundered intermittently against the windshield, he dragged his consciousness back to focus on the white work van parked ahead of him on the side of a narrow road. Trees laden with wet, heavy, decaying leaves bowed low around them as if in mourning for the loss of summer. Ghost? An impatient voice to his left broke the howling whisper of wind whipping through the forest. He cleared his throat and blinked back whatever thoughts troubled him. Right. Yes. Sorry. He gave a brief shake of his head, not giving the officer standing next to his open window a passing glance. Please continue your report. The constable frowned at him. I was saying, your people arrived a short while ago. Scene handover should be complete. And the witch? Would we be standing here having a chit-chat if it were still around? The other man shrugged. He was trying to be nonchalant, but Ghost could hear the itching undertone of tension carried by his implications. It was his turn to frown. The witch hunters had failed again. This death was on them, as far as anyone else was concerned. Anything on the victim? Ghost asked, pulling a large handgun from the center console. He gave it a brief once-over, then opened the door, his free hand clicking the button to roll up the window as he stood. The officer stepped back to give him space, his lips set in a tight line of disapproval at the sight of the other man's gun. We suspect a transient, but it's too early to tell. he informed, watching Ghost holster the weapon deep inside his long black coat. At that, Ghost raised a coal-colored eyebrow at him. Too early. Not bad, huh? He heaved a sigh, mental gears worn by exhaustion, grinding away behind steel-gray eyes. More heavy droplets of rain rained down on them, hammering dully against the car's black roof, littered with small yellow leaves. The silence between them hung in the air. Tell your superiors we'll redouble our efforts, he finished, turning his attention to the white van ahead. It was a diplomatic platitude. They both knew it, but Ghost didn't want to see the scowl boring into his back. The officer gave him what sounded like a sniff of disapproval and then turned away, muttering something undoubtedly vicious under his breath as he left. Ghost, however, shrugged it off, filing his feelings away for later. He pulled his coat collar up against the cold, damp wind and approached the van, strolling up to the driver's side window. A body hung limp, draped over the steering wheel. He huffed, scowling, and reached up, giving the window a sharp rap with his knuckle. Instantly, the driver flailed to life, lanky arms flying up in a panic, a hand plastering against the window as if to brace against an attack. "Tech!" Ghost barked as the window lowered. "What are you doing here?" "Jesus Christ, Commander!" the younger man panted, his already pale face now a shade of gray. I was asleep," he muttered, rubbing his eyes. "If I were the witch, you'd be dead asleep, Hunter," Ghost growled. "Stand down," he added, nodding pointedly to where Tech's right hand rested on a small pistol, nestled between his thigh and the center console. Tech rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Sorry, sir." Ghost waited a beat before snapping a single command. "Report!" Tech heaved another heavy sigh and leaned back in a seat, rubbing at the black bags under his eyes. "We got a call for Dose to come and check out a body. Don't know much more than that," he said. "And why are you here? I thought you were off shift." Noting the other's condition, it was clear he probably shouldn't be driving. Ghost knew that Tech wasn't necessarily the most adept and combat-ready member of his team, but he also wouldn't normally be so reckless as to fall asleep. Dose fell and told me to drive her up," Tech yawned. "And why not Eagle?" He came up with Guillory." Ghost frowned at that. What was he doing with Guillory? Tech shrugged, stretching his neck. "No idea." Ghost pinched the bridge of his nose. "I'll make sure to have a chat with Dose. Where are they?" Tech gave him an apprehensive look, but Ghost ignored it. Dose knew she would be putting Tech at risk by dragging him out while tired. "Well?" Ghost glowered. Tech gave a sigh of defeat, a silent begging going ignored. "Through the tree line there," he said, pointing a short ways up the narrow road. Sure enough, there was a small break in the trees where a path had been trampled, broken police tape fluttering and snapping in the wind. "If you're gonna sleep, do it in the back," Ghost added sharply as he stepped away. He didn't bother to wait for his subordinate's response. He didn't need to. He glanced both ways out of habit before trotting across the road. There wouldn't be any traffic up here, not on this back service road. As he approached the break in the trees, he could see past the bend in the lane where several other emergency vehicles sat parked facing his way. Clustered around them stood some officers and medical staff. They had seen him and hurriedly turned their gazes away. The only person that made eye contact with him was the city coroner, who nodded his head towards the woods with a marked impatience. It almost made Ghost's teeth grind, but he steeled himself and stepped into the underbrush, following the trampled path. He only stepped aside momentarily to allow a group of firefighters to pass, hauling their heavy gear and extinguishers. Neither party made acknowledgement to the other, and once past, Ghost continued. As he stepped from the tree line into an open glade of flowing waist-high grass, the wind whipped his shoulder-length black hair, snapping at his high cheekbones. He ignored it, sharp gray eyes scanning the field to catch a bob of silky pale wheat amongst the browning grass. There. He waded through the swells and waves of dead or dying plants until they abruptly stopped, replaced with a wide swath of blackened earth, charred down to the bare soil. Here the deep bone-chill air warmed unnaturally, causing goose-flesh to run up the back of his neck, the smell of rain, burnt grass, and death assaulting his senses. Ghost shivered off the horrid chill and stepped into the clearing, black earth meeting a smattering of white foam and a blue tarp held down by a charred fieldstone. Two figures bobbed next to the tarp, like a pair of black swans on an even blacker lake, pecking at the invading garbage. One crouched hunched over against the cold, scribbling notes on a pad. The other stood tall and willowy, his wheat-toned fly-away hair whipping about in the wind. Ghost stood a moment, watching the two of them. He knew well enough to let Dose have her space to work. It wasn't until the man noticed him that he moved forward, taking care to only step where there were already footprints. "Commander!" the man greeted, his voice a cheerful melody dissonant to the macabre scene. "How nice of you to join us," he chirped, his cold, wide smile never quite reaching his large, glacier blue eyes. He was about to say more when Ghost held up a hand to interrupt him. "Eagle, Dose," he acknowledged as the blond man handed a camera to the shorter woman next to him. "Ghost," Dose returned the greeting in the same curt, flat tone, her attention focused on the camera's screen. She blew a stray lock of sandy hair from her eyes, one that wasn't held back by a myriad of multicolored barrettes, only to have it whipped back into place. Ghost could see her jaw set in annoyance. If it weren't so windy, he was certain they would be able to hear her teeth grinding from there. He caught Eagle's eye, who merely shrugged, stuffing his hands into his black windbreaker. Commander sighed and wisely stowed his reprimand of his medic away for later, and crouched next to the tarp, slipping on a pair of black-fitted leather gloves as he did. "What's the news?" he asked finally. Dose pursed her lips, zooming in on a charred mass on the camera screen. "Well," she began, "if Crispy Freeman is anything to go by here, our witch might put crematoriums out of business." Ghost's brow creased as his frown deepened. He reached out, lifting the corner of the tarp, ash fluttering out from underneath, caught in a swirl of wind. He grimaced as he caught sight of a twisted shape. Once a hand by the looks of it, but now nothing more than charcoal. "I estimate 1200 degrees, Dose said. Enough to cremate." Ghost reached out with a pen in his free hand, poking the limb to a clear crunch of paper-crisp skin. "But not fully?" Dose shook her head. "If you had time, sure." She gestured to the ground around them. They were obscured by foam and footprints, but swirls and burn marks were visible underfoot. 8 to 14-second bursts of extremely high-temperature flames, she informed, picking up a piece of material from the dirt. Ghost took it as it was offered, turning it over in his hand. "Glass?" Next to him, Eagle wrapped his arms around his waist, a nervous habit. Ghost knew well what they were all thinking. The witch was getting more powerful, and that meant deadlier. "The only reason we have a corpse is because he was interrupted," Dose continued, though her tone was more one of suggestion. This is supposed to say, there's a missing shit. Sorry. Ghost dropped the tarp and the glass soil. He stood, his mental gears spinning fast, grinding down from exhaustion. "Interrupted," he grunted, mulling over the word as he wandered towards the nearby cliff's edge, wind picking up. The steely gaze took in the scene before him, a wide horseshoe base surrounded by cliffs of blue-gray granite, stepping up hundreds of meters into a continental plateau, where they stood with some distance from the medium-density city of steel, glass, and concrete, rising out of the natural embrace of the land. "Boss?" Eagle asked after him, exchanging glances with Dose as she too stood and handed the camera off to him again. They were a little more than halfway up the steps in the cliffs, on a hard-to-access service road. He had seen a few homeless camps on the way up, many of which had been abandoned for some time, but one much more recently, and hastily. "Pack up," Ghost ordered suddenly. "This is a distraction. He wanted us up here, so he could be down there," he said, turning to face them. As he did, a cacophony of chimes and tones filled the air. Each hunter drew their phones as alerts poured in. They were already too late. "I'll drive the van," Eagle said, shouldering the camera bag as Dose hastily packed up her coroner's kit. Ghost scrolled through the alerts, jaw clenched. Downtown, sighted at the mall, heading toward. A flash of sunlight breaking through the overcast caught his eye, drawing his gaze below the cliffs, where a passenger train had just emerged from a lower cliffside tunnel. Central Station. That's where the reading for Scene 1 ends. "Good morning, Cookie." "Hammed Borger." "Hi, Conk." I like how this has so far a lot more focus on few characters as opposed to earlier. Yes, there was a complaint that too many names were being introduced. So I cut all of the first names. If you saw, I still had one left in there that I hadn't noticed. So I cut out the names and I just left the code names. Nat, thank you for the posture check, everybody on Shipline Spines. When my emote list loads. There's your shrimps. Everybody on Shipline Spines, give yourself a little wave back and forth. There's a little seaweed in the ocean currents. How dare! Thank you for not interrupting the reading with that, though. I appreciate it. So let me try to do some other stories I'm working on. Yeah. Editing is very important. Yes. The cookie is working. Also, given my mental state, I have me the fucking worst. I either cower from being investigated, or when that other guy muttered, "Oh, likely in some breath, I'd probably see something stupid like, you care to say that to my face?" Yeah, Ghost isn't confrontational. Tex, on the other hand, not tech, but Tex. You'll meet him later. He would be the confrontational type, and he'd probably beat the living tar out of the cop. Ghost is very controlled in how he deals with his emotions. And thank you, Fantasy. I have worked on it very hard. Necromancer did point out something important. Keep in mind, what you find out later is that the Eden Society, which is the Ghost Hunters organization, or not the Ghost Hunters, the Witch Hunters organization the Ghost works for, thank you, words, they are actually headquartered in Rome at the Vatican. So, Jesus Christ, not too out of place. Depending to go down to the docks and enjoy an ice cream, why not? Seems like a nice day for it. I mean, if your weather's nice. Another good question. Most of the witch hunters probably would. They're not devout. It depends on the person. Sunny and 19. That sounds like the perfect time to go get an ice cream. Your ice cream won't melt too fast, but the sun will keep you nice and warm and cozy. Also, that thing Necromancer reminds me how in this strange real universe of Ace Combat. I have no idea what that is. I did debate that line. The spelling is different, not just, yeah, it's spelled Jeezus. Alright. See you, Fantasy. I don't know if we're doing another reading tomorrow. The second part needs a lot of work. Also, exclamation marks. Also. But yeah, I am debating whether to change it to holy shit as opposed to Jesus Christ. Or just dropping an F-bomb, right? First thing. I haven't quite figured out what tech would say. Fantasy, enjoy your ice cream. I expect a full review. Full foodie blog. Something about the realization of the distraction. Some part of me wants to see more of the connecting the dots to the realization, but to know that would fix narratively or thematically. Yeah. Eric's just a very good witch hunter. But I can work on it, and we can workshop that as usual. Send me a message later. No, like, take a picture of the ice cream and post it in, like, the dining hall or something. It's gotta be delicious, yeah. Tell us how the nachos were! But they don't serve nachos! Then they fail! Just a thought. Yeah, I felt like that section was a little bit hasty, too. There's a lot of work that I need to do still. But this is what, like ARC readers and reviewers and stuff are for. And this is, I'm at the point in, like, just this little section where getting feedback like that just makes the story so much better. Because, like, I think my writing itself is fine, but there are details like that I do miss. It's very good input, and it's very helpful. Just like when Cheese and Pineapple said that, oh my god, we almost got a pizza there, said that there were too many characters introduced, and it got a little bit confusing, so I cut that down. As much as I really wanted that stuff to be in there, I can do that characterization later. Yeah, no, like, this is great feedback. I didn't get this the other day because I think everybody was really busy. And they were lurking. And that's no, like, dig on you guys. I appreciate the fact that you guys even show up. But, like, this kind of feedback and, like, talking about it is really helpful, and I really do appreciate it. But yeah, the Jesus Christ part, also, yeah, I agree with you. It feels out of place somehow, and I'm just not sure what to put there. Like, I'm not sure if Tech would just drop an F-bomb. I might have to look at him a little bit more closely as a character. He's always been a bit of an enigma to me because he's not very forward in the story, so he's more of a tertiary character as far as the hunters are concerned. He's just in the background, kind of doing his own little thing. You know, as shy, nerdy hackers are wont to do. But, like, initially I had it spelt properly, actual Jesus. But then I changed it, so he's, like, pulling out the E, and it's more of a, just, like, a colloquial, the way I use Jesus Christ when I say things. He might just go, shit. He might just do that. I think that's probably more of a tech thing. Or balls. But I'm not sure he would drop an F-bomb so readily. Jesus, no. Religion's like Dust Mother? Oh, 600 years after the calamity, the Ring of Fire, Yellowstone saying fuck you to everybody. Says that you get originally Dust Mother. Okay. Out of the dust I came, to the dust I shall return. I like that. I like it when authors add things, specificity like that into their worlds. And dust would make a lot of sense because you would have a lot of like volcanic ash and stuff. For the peppering in of the more connecting the dots, I think I will expand on that a little bit. This is scene 1 of chapter 1. Chapter 1 continues down into the train station, so they know the witch is downtown and it's going towards Central Station. And then we cut to our main character in the train that just came out of the tunnel and into the train station, where you get a little bit of characterization. You know, he's there on his own, and his mother, quote unquote, who he calls by her actual name, so he doesn't call her mom, he calls her Evan, and she says, "I'm your mother." So you get a little bit like things aren't quite normal there, but they care about each other, and then the witch attacks him. And that's where he meets the witch hunters, and other things happen. I won't go into much more than that until I've finished editing that section. But chapter 1 ends with the end of the witch attack. So what you got was just scene 1. Alternative really. No. She's his foster parent. They're so cute though. I like Evan and Alex. They're their own like little 2-person family, little found family. It's so cute. And then I'll rip your heart out later once it's well and established. I just sprinkle the seeds, let them grow inside your soul. Necromancer. Fuck. Let a little love blossom in your heart and then rip it out. Drugs. Hi, Death. We already took our drugs. If you want the reading, you'll have to go back and listen to the VOD. But now we've thrown off the obsidian, because I don't like people seeing me write. Necromancer is evil. You forgot an appointment? Oh, bye! I'm glad you got to be here for the second version of the reading. But yeah, I think that's yeah. I agree with you. There needs to be a little bit more connecting of the dots. So I might sprinkle in some more information on how he gets to the only trying to understand the relationship dynamic. The relationship is she's his foster parent and hasn't adopted him yet, so he doesn't feel comfortable calling her mom. Because she never offered. Because he's a good boy. He's a sweet bean cinnamon roll child. And he has a stutter. Although I'm thinking of cutting back a little bit on the stutter. He didn't have a stutter the first time I wrote it. You know I'm not here for the reading. What are you here for, then? But yeah, he has a stutter, but I'm wondering if it's, like, too much. Death is here for the hydrates. Death is here for the cans. Only cans. Thank you for the hydrate. And yeah, so, looks like we might get a full 3-hour stream today. That, it always takes longer to read it than I think, but, it helps me find the areas, where if I stumble over something, it's because there's a word missing or the flow is wrong. Reading it aloud really helps me to find those little areas, even though, like, my auditory processing is makes stuff difficult. Actually reading it aloud from my own mouth seems to really help me find those spots where things are a little bit difficult. Cans make the funny can sounds. Yeah. I might have to put on a hoodie. I'm actually cold. I'm so used to really, really hot weather. Can. Can you do the can? Alright. We're gonna slip into co-working now. Necromancer, thank you so much for your feedback. It was very helpful. I really appreciate it. I want this book to be the best that it can be. I have watched a lot of stuff recently from, like, authors behaving badly and, like, authors who, like, did Kickstarters and their book wasn't even written. And it, like, 2 years later, they still haven't given refunds from the Kickstarter, or they, like, published the book and it's ass and people suspect it was written with ChatGPT just to get it done and out there. But, like, this particular author lady is also being sued by a construction company because she owes them, like, $40,000, but she refuses to pay anyone for anything. And I'm just like, why? You know, I'm a simple man with simple needs and simple cans. Yeah, but, like, you say you're not an author, but you don't have to be an author. Do you read books? Do you like books? Do you like stories? That it's not about the author, it's about the reader. Once the author releases the story into the wild, the interpretation is up to the reader. And if the reader doesn't understand it or feels like there's something missing, then the author has failed them. But I agree with you. Him connecting the dots may seem a little bit weird. He's a very good witch hunter, but, like, as the author, I know the lead up to this point in the story that the ghost also knows. He knows these things. He's been tracking the Switch for a while, but the reader doesn't know that. So, as the author, I have to make sure to account for the things that the reader doesn't know. Right? And if it seems like a far stretch that Ghost makes those connections, then it's going to pull the reader out if he's not believable right off the bat either. So I agree with you. Your feedback is actually integral to me getting this right for everybody else. Well, yeah, but there's academic knowledge, like, that doesn't matter. You felt that there was something off, and you voiced that, hey, maybe perhaps you should add this, because you felt like there was something there that was missing fundamentally in the connections. And I agree with you. But I didn't see that. I had initially been like, oh, maybe I should put a little bit more in, because before that thing about him thinking about the homeless camps that he saw on the way up, that wasn't in there. I added that yesterday because I was like, oh, maybe him coming to the conclusion that this was a distraction was a little bit too much with nothing else to back it up. The only thing you have is this guy's the witch hunter, and he's the leader of his team. That makes him a professional, but there needs to be something more. So don't feel like you need a professional background or academic things, because that's not what matters. What matters is how you interpret it. And so I agree that, yeah, what you said makes sense. There needs to be something a little bit more. And I just want to say that I appreciate the feedback, because that was very insightful, and that's the kind of feedback that I need when I post up a chapter and say, hey, can I get some feedback? That's exactly the kind of feedback I need, and I don't want anyone to be afraid. Yeah, see, I knew I was right. I don't want anyone to be afraid of giving feedback just because I'm the streamer and I'm the author. Authors have to know when to take criticism and feedback and how to interpret it. Like when you suggested that the Jesus Christ was a little bit out of place, because yes, you're like, hey, this world has witches. Is Jesus actually a thing? How fantasy is this? How Earth is this? How modern society is this? Well, we've got cars and cops, you know? And you've got to, you have to get that blend of fantasy and reality right, because otherwise your story's not going to be believable. Your world's not going to be believable. And that's speaking from the, like, academic and foundational part of being an author, is first and foremost, yeah, there's probably something equivalent to Starbucks. First and foremost, you know, it has to be interpretable by the reader. And when you've been looking at a piece for 20 years, almost, that you miss stuff. But getting fresh eyes on it every once in a while really, really helps ground me back into where I need to be, looking at it from the reader's perspective. So I just want people to know for certain that, like, I appreciate feedback. I might not always take it into account. But if people, like, rationalize their feedback in a way that makes sense and they're honest about it, I appreciate that more than being like, oh yeah, it's good. And if you don't have any actual feedback, you just, you let me know and be like, hey, I really like this. I don't have any feedback. I saw where you changed some things from the last time. Or if it's the first time seeing you, just be like, well, I don't really have any feedback right now. But, you know, maybe I'll take a look at it again later with fresh eyes or something. And if you still don't find anything, just let me know. But I don't expect people to, like, do this. I just wanted a little bit of feedback. I wanted people to know that, you know, just because I'm the streamer doesn't mean that you can't criticize me. I take criticism very well. I have faced a lot of criticism in my life. Yeah, I go back and forth. I understand that consumer is the audience, but I also have an appreciation for the take it as I give it art, take it or leave it. Yeah, but like I'm the same way with my drawings as I am with my writing, you know? You're the client and I want you to enjoy what you receive, right? It's like the doggo picture. You're letting me take as much time as I need with it to try and make sure I get it right. But I also want to get it to you in a quote-unquote timely manner. And my timeliness is a very long time. But I also really do want to get this book going and get it out to people. So the feedback was very appreciated, and I will make a note for myself as the author to take a look at that. But I'll move on to the second scene, which is the other half of chapter 1, and I'll work out the kinks out of that, and maybe we'll do another reading soonish. Not tomorrow. I won't be ready tomorrow, but soonish. But yeah, I've asked for feedback before, but I think people are worried about insulting me. I don't want people to feel like they have to tiptoe around me. But the feedback is important. Like I might push back a little bit and be like, yeah, but like they're technically a Catholic or Christian organization. You know, they're run by the Vatican, so like people would say Jesus Christ. It's a common colloquial in our society, whether you believe in God or not, because I certainly don't, and I use it all the time. But it also, you said it feels weird, and I agree. I have mulled it over many times, and you have pointed out a place where I was also uncertain, and I appreciate that because it makes me go and take another hard look at it and go, how can I change this to make it less jarring? And I was hoping that by changing the spelling, that might fix it, but it kept irking at me. And because it irked at you too, the little irk that we share, I'm like, yeah, no, there's something wrong there. And that's the editing process. That's why, like, getting the draft done is the easy part. Getting the editing in and cutting out the parts that you like, or finding the places that irk you but you're unsure about, takes a really long time. But I don't want this book to just be like another one that somebody goes and reads and then sets on their shelf and never considers again in the back of their mind. I want it to be something that people truly love. And so I'm going to work really hard, and if I have to take criticism for that, then I will. If I have to cut out my heart, my favorite lines from the book, I will do that if it's necessary. So the next section tomorrow, well, I guess I better get writing, so I guess it's time to turn on that timer. A chapter a day? Oh no, that's not possible. That's not possible. But I'm going to turn on the timer now, and I'm going to set us into work mode. Because I'm sure you've got stuff to do at work, too. And I'm going to take a quick break to a little demon's room while we do. So, I will see you on the other side! Let's go to work, 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 work! Oi, mouse. Distraction time! Did people get some work done? I'm mulling over that little bit at the end of the at the end of the scene. Not chapter, but scene. Where Ghost is making that connection. And I'm trying to do it in such a way that we're not totally inside the character's head. We don't want to hear the character's thoughts, but I don't want to, how do I explain it? We're not doing like full omniscient narrator here. Okay, Ross. Feel better. Enjoy your nap in the shade. Yeah, I don't want to go full omniscient narrator, so I need to figure out how to drag in information without it being like, oh, he's thinking about this specifically, so I'm having him do a little bit of interaction with Dose and Eagle, interspersed between that description of the land and how they're up on this hard to get to place, and thus hard to get back to the city place. Without it being too, like, here's some lore in your face. It's always hard to do. You're trying to do it in the show don't tell way, but there are sometimes places where you have to tell because you can't show. If you know what I mean. Sorry, my brain is like, gears are grinding. I mean, I guess it could have been even a small span of time spent looking off of the city and back to the body, and the other person kind of feeling awkward. So just to drag out the scene almost, yeah. The way I've got it right now is the part where he's talking about where the witch was interrupted. He just asks for Dose to reconfirm how many victims there's been. So you know there's been 5 now. 5 people that have been killed. And then I'm debating on something else, because a little bit later you're supposed to learn that the witches used distractions before to do things. But I think I might just add that in now. I think this is a good place to add it in and take it out of that other spot. Sometimes you just gotta rearrange things. Makes more sense this way. He's not just some, you know, dumb, crazy person. He thinks. Your villains need to be actual villains. You know, it's better if your villain has a brain. It makes them scarier when they're smart. It just needs a little something extra, and you're absolutely right about that one spot. I think it'll be really good once it's done. Do you want to explicitly outline that or have the reader connect those dots later when they learn it? I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll write it out, see how it works, and then and then go from there. Ooh, that's what he knew that we didn't, kind of thing. Yeah, it's possible we could do that too. Sometimes you do need to connect the dots for your reader. I think I know how to go about it. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you for the hydrate cookie. Hello, emote. Everybody make sure you'll stretch. Necromancers redeem stretch. Distraction. We all good? I think I fixed it. Shall we read that last little bit? Yeah, so I'm gonna pick up from where Dose talks about the interruption. So this is, I haven't fixed anything, I haven't changed anything before this, other than Tech is in the car and he just says shit instead of Jesus Christ. I think shit works better. So I'm just gonna pick up from right here. So this is Dose speaking. The only reason we have a corpse is because he was interrupted, Dose continued, though her tone was more one of suggestion. I think I have to fix that. Ghost dropped the tarp and the glass soil. He stood, his mental gears spinning fast, grinding down from exhaustion. Thank you, Death. Interrupted, he grunted, mulling over the word. Something wasn't right. He wandered towards the nearby cliff's edge, wind picking up. Steely gaze took in the scene before him, a wide horseshoe base surrounded by cliffs of blue-gray granite, stepping up hundreds of meters into a continental plateau. Where they stood was some distance from a medium-density city of steel, glass, and concrete rising out of the natural embrace of the land. Boss? Eagle asked after him, exchanging glances with Dose as she too stood, and handed the camera off to him again. How many so far? Ghost asked. With this one, that's 5 dead, Dose replied. Ghost stood at the cliff's edge, feet planted firmly against the gale as the gale wind buffeted him. He rubbed his chin, lips pursed as he puzzled through something nagging at the back of his mind. He's done this before, the witch. Timberline, Ghost muttered, as the other two came to stand next to him. Last month? Eagle queried, exchanging glances with Dose. What's this have to do with the house fires? Don't forget the bank that day, too, Dose pointed out. It was Eagle's turn to pale as he, too, realized the situation wasn't all that it seemed. They were a little more than halfway up the steps in the cliffs on a hard-to-access service road. He had seen a few homeless camps on the way up, many of which had been abandoned for some time, but one much more recently, and chaotically. The two men met their gazes, silent realization passing between them. Pack up, Ghost ordered suddenly. This is another distraction, he said, turning to head back. As he did, a cacophony of chimes and tones filled the air. Each hunter drew their phones as alerts poured in. They were already too late. I'll drive the van, Eagle said, shouldering the camera bag, Dose already running to hastily pack up her coroner's kit. Ghost scrolled through the alerts, his jaw clenched. Downtown, sighted at the mall, heading toward. A flash of sunlight breaking through the overcast caught his eye, drawing his gaze below the cliffs where the... I have to fix something there. Dragging his gaze to below the cliffs where a passenger train had just emerged from a lower cliffside tunnel. Central Station. Now it's fixed. What do you think? Is that a little bit better? We got a little bit from Eagle, so we switched from Ghost's perspective of he saw the homeless encampments to Eagle saw the homeless encampments. And I think this adds a little bit too for the other two hunters that are there, where Eagle is more in the analytical space as Ghost. He pays attention to the wider scope details. And he realized also that something was off. Whereas Dose has a memory for details, but she doesn't see the big picture as much. But she's a medic, whereas Eagle is actually their sniper, which you learn later. I tried to give them code names that are related to their sort of specialty. But yeah, that's a lot better, isn't it? Because it gives the other two something as well. It's so loud in my ears. Well, we're gonna pause just a little bit. Yeah. Thanks for pointing out that section to me, Necromancer. I probably, like, if I hadn't had feedback there, I probably would have left it that way. Thinking, yeah, that's good enough, right? It's probably good enough. But I think this is a lot better, because it gives the other hunters something as well, and doesn't just leave them as standing in the background static. Because he relies on his team as much as they rely on his leadership, right? My dad took my mug away while we were working, so can ASMR. Hydrate and a street. I needed that. Yeah, if we can get the rest of the book looking like scene 1, I think it's gonna be just mwah. Thanks for the help. I really appreciate it. We're gonna work on scene 2, and we'll have our 2 more work sessions after this one. Chapter 2 tomorrow, and oh no, scene 2. I've only gotten up to like chapter 4 or 5 going right now in this draft. So we're gonna have to do a lot of writing. But I have a lot of sewing to do, so the more of the writing's chapter 2. A lot of the writing's gonna have to happen after Conquest. And I definitely want to get this book out. And one day I want to make a special edition. Once I figure out how to make the fucking cover, because Jesus Christ, I can't figure out the cover for this book. I think I'm gonna have to wait till it's done. Anywho, back to work! Thanks for the help again. I really appreciate it. Distraction! Necromancer is in BRB mode. Ross is sleeping. Fantasy's gone for ice cream. Death is probably waiting in the wings with cans. Neff, who knows what he's doing? I see a lurking perf. She hasn't stabbed anyone yet, guys. And Cookie is working as usual. Thank you for hanging out, Cookie. You're sweet as your name. So I'm reducing the main character stutter a little bit because I find it a bit grating and shocking to read. His speech impediment does go away over time as he learns things like self-confidence and sort of has to grow up. It's more of a mental-based speech impediment as opposed to a physical one. Not that there's anything wrong with a speech impediment, but in this case, Alexander is just scared of everything, so he's very skittish. He's a skittish boy. And that has resulted in a psychological-based speech impediment. Which does go away over time, yes. So, it's not there the whole time. You'll see points where he doesn't have the stutter at all. But every time he tries to tell a lie of some kind, he's really bad at lying. Oh, it is so cold today. I love it. I like being cold. I have one of my old Conquest blankets over my shoulders. Which I think this will... Yeah. I'm gonna turn the 2 Conquest blankets I had into a capelet for the event. So that I don't freeze at night. Because it's always cold at night. I've got some other music going in the background, so if I'm bouncing out of time. Welcome back, Necromancer. I've got my hands cupped around my tea. I grabbed the dog from the groomer. That was fast. He must be nearby. Is Pupper better behaved now that they went through puppy boot camp? It's a mobile one? Ah, that's neat. I hope your wife is feeling better too. I was just saying that I reduced Alexander's stutter a little bit. Still a lot of work to do. Yeah, I wish my neighbors would get their dog trained. Because Rio barks at everything. He barks and barks and barks and barks. Oh. Tesla? Wait, Babbins. Oh, there's the Babbins. My tailbone hurts. Been sitting too long. I should probably work standing up a little bit. Ah! You know, it's funny, I see the timer and I still... Let's raise the desk. He's just naturally a little terrorist. I have to move my keyboard closer. They describe him as a big dog in a little dog's body. You know, I find most little dogs, being a little terrorist is just pretty natural. I need to vacuum under my keyboard. Oh my goodness, there's so much dust there. That's where my safety pin went. Alright. Well, we'll go back to work now. This will be our last work session, I think. Still need big dog levels of training. Oh my. Alright, work. That is the end of work sessions. Here's my OBS. Here it is. Let me sit down again. You're all done with work today? Nice. I was like... Yeah, the second half of the chapter is not nearly as nice as the first. There's definitely a lot more that I have to do. I could read it if you want. You have tomorrow to finish up to chapter 2. No, I gotta sew. I gotta do so much sewing. I hadn't intended to go for the full 3 hours, but it looks like I'm doing the full 3 hours. We're very close to. It's 2.5 now. But I've got a little bit to finish on the pants, and then once the pants are done, I'll be moving on to the red shirt, because I can always wear my teal shirt from last year if it really comes down to it. I still gotta do the face mask. So we've got the pants done. This linen layer ain't happening this year. I might be able to find enough cotton muslin somewhere in the house to throw something together, but the linen shirt and the red linen shirt, the white linen shirt and the red linen shirt are the same pattern, just different sleeves. And the blue shirt is I already have a pattern for it, but I need to modify the pattern, so I'll have to make another mock-up. But then there's the little face mask, the waist wrap. The waist wrap, I have a skirt that I'm going to take apart and turn into the waist wrap. It's not the right color. Certainly, definitely not the right color. It's the embroidery that's going to take me the longest. But yeah, I have an old skirt I'm going to turn into the silk waist wrap thing. This apron part, very easy to make. It's 2 pieces of fabric cut to that shape with some interfacing in the middle. It's and a ribbon for around the waist. So that'll be really fast. I'm not going to do the sheer layers this year. Yeah. I think I should be able to get it all done. I know what size I'm going to make this blue pouch now. The top blue pouch. Where is it? This one with the red tassels on it. I think I know what size I'm going to make that one. It's about the size of the bag that I use every single day. I just need to get some leather. I don't know where to get leather. Maybe I'll ask Kavach if she has any. that I can buy from her. I'll make a quick pattern and see if she has any of the tools to make one. I have a swivel knife and stuff, so I can do all of the detailing. I don't have a latch or anything, though. Still so much I'm missing. There's not enough time to do anything. Panic rising. Yes, let's find someone to raid so that I can get to sewing. So that I can panic less. Channel. Mute tab. We'll toss an emote, let Twitch know we're here. Oh man, there's only Mokomate on right now. No slowing down until fingers are bleeding. I'll be sure to. We haven't raided Mokomate in a while. But we should probably raid our partners on Twitch. Our group members. I am part of the Mokomate's group now. So, yeah. My friends, we're off sailing to other waters. May you wash ashore to distant lands and find new adventures. Necromancer's gonna have to find somebody quiet to watch for the rest of the day. I apologize. But we should raid Mokomate every once in a while. I do like them. It's just normally I try to raid somebody who's a little bit more chill than them. Because I know their energy's a little bit too much for you. But thank you so much for the feedback today, Necromancer, and the gifted subs. Crazy man. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a great day now. And make sure you keep an eye on yourself, Necromancer, because you forgot to take your meds yesterday. Make sure you take them today. And I'll see you tomorrow. And remember,